God Save the Children. By Zach Larson. Published by Living Words Press. Copyright 2024 by Zach Larson. All rights reserved. To all the misfits and ugly ducklings, to the outcasts, hermits, and forgotten, to all those who struggle and those who mourn, you are not alone. Chapter 1. Maddie was falling. 5 heartbeats and a lurch in her bones told her she'd reached the peak. 2 breaths through her nose because the chin strap dug into her skin, but she needed the strap that tight, needed to stand on the edge and shout into the darkness that she wasn't afraid. It didn't matter if the darkness followed her out of her nightmares because she was not afraid. Pain lived in her head, and shadows haunted her waking world. But none of that mattered when she planted her feet on a skateboard. On a board, she faced death. Off the board, the pain ruled her. As a kid, Maddie had stood outside the skate park, holding to the chain link with desperate fingers. She wanted in, not to skate or even to watch the other skaters, but to barrel to Rand's side and knock death out of the way. Her brother was in there, and she needed to be in there with him. But the rusting fence was in the way, and they refused to let her through the gate. The world held still. No skaters, no boarders, no movement until they lifted the stretcher off the ground. And the moment she'd been waiting for, the moment her brother's face would come into view between the jostling bodies of the crowd, was stolen from her. She couldn't see Rand's face because they'd put a blanket over his head. The image of the blanket, spotted red with blood, flashed through her mind every time she fell back toward the half-pipe. It served as a reminder that, no matter how practiced she felt, she was still falling, at the mercy of gravity and physics. One wrong move and splat. Her brains painted across the wood planks. Sometimes she wondered if a good splat would be such a bad thing, but Rand would call her stupid for even thinking that. She straightened her legs enough to keep her feet on the board as the half-pipe rushed up to meet her. Her wheels slapped the planks, and her stomach squirmed when her weight hit the curve of the half-pipe and shot forward. She loved the pull and tug in her gut, the danger, the freedom. Kit screamed from the sidelines. Woohoo! Go, Joker! Maddie pumped her fist in the air but kept her eyes down. She was going to do it this time. She had enough speed, her wheels were in good shape, and she had been watching videos about kickflips for a week straight. This time, it was going to happen. The transition flashed beneath her, tilting her board up at the sky. She watched her front wheels pass the coping and tensed her legs. Sky filled her vision as her back wheels found air. Shifting her weight, she flicked the front of the board with her foot, just like all the videos described. The board spun in the air, following her feet. For a heartbeat, she exulted in her victory. Then her board wobbled and shifted underneath her. She felt it slap her foot with the sharp edge, which was not supposed to happen. It thunked against the coping and clattered away as she twisted in midair and landed on her knee pads, sliding for a moment before pitching forward into a roll that put her face first into the bottom of the half-pipe. Maddie? Maddie, are you okay? Slowly, she pushed herself up, feeling for brakes. Sore spots were already throbbing across her body, but nothing too bad. Kit rushed to her and knelt down. His neon green hair flashed in the sun. He grabbed her face and turned it back and forth, looking in her eyes. Anything broken, Joker? I don't think so. Good. You look okay, but you skinned your nose. Instinctively, she touched her nose. Pain in her nose, in her head, in her soul. Ouch. That stings. Duh. How did you think it would feel to have your skin peeled off? She let him help her up. Don't be a jerk. I just fell like 10 feet. Let's go sit for a minute. Make sure you're really okay. Kit helped her hobble over to their bench and went back to retrieve her board. It was good to have him here. She snuck a glance at him as he ran back for Rand's old board. Kit had always felt out of place in the world. A lot like Maddie, actually. They both had trouble fitting in and dealing with their emotions. Kit had described it once like being a cat in a dog's body. Sometimes that seemed like an all-too-perfect description. If the cat was on fire, and the dog was on fire, and it was alone. Now, though, he walked with a swagger she had never noticed before. His new part-time job had kept him busy so far this summer, But could serving at a coffee shop change him that much? She plucked at the mousy brown hair that barely brushed the bottom of her neck. Maybe she should dye hers neon blue. Kit set her board on the ground and flopped down beside her. Skaters and boarders flew by them, wheels whirring on the concrete. People cheered and screamed, and Maddie just wanted them all to shut up and go away. They laughed when she wanted to cry. They smiled and chatted in groups while Maddie could barely handle talking to Kit most of the time. They looked solid and sure, and Maddie just wanted to fade into the dark. She wanted to interact with people, but the wall between Maddie and the rest of the world felt more insurmountable than learning to be a pro boarder your first day. If Rand were here, he'd know just what to say to comfort her. Her brother had always known how to make her feel normal, but you couldn't give advice from 6 feet under. Kit elbowed her in the side. You almost had the kickflip that time. Just needed a bit more spin. Maddie picked up her board and spun each wheel, watching for a wobble. I think my board is too long for the trick. Kit clicked his tongue. The board isn't the problem. Maddie felt blood rush to her cheeks. It has to be. I've tried that trick 1,000,000 times by now, and it never works. I even watched videos. The trick never works no matter what I do. That's true, but I don't think the board is the issue here. Then what is? Kit tapped her on the forehead. Your mind just hasn't figured out the right moves yet. You'll get there if you just keep going, same as every other boarder on the planet. Maddie just shrugged and set the board in her lap. Sure, one day I will be the next Tony Hawk. On a less heated topic, are you coming tomorrow, Joker? Maddie leaned forward, suddenly very interested in a skater on the half pipe. He hit the coping with a perfect rock to fakie. Hers were pretty good, but that kid made it look like art. Mads? She felt Kit's eyes on her like focused heat from a magnifying glass. I've been thinking about it. Well, what's holding you back? I think meeting the team would really help you. They helped me see myself in a new way. I'm telling you, Mads, they understand what we are going through. They just sound so extreme. Kit laughed. Says the Fae who just attempted a kickflip, fumbled, and walked it off like you just fell out of bed. Don't call me that. Come on. When are you going to let your true colors show? You don't have to be afraid of living your best life. I want that, Kit. I do. But I don't know what my best life is. Well, I can tell you what it's not. It's not living like a girl when you know you aren't one. Was it really that easy? Slough off the dog skin and purr. Strike out an S to leave the remnants of he. Cut her hair. Put on the baggy pants she wore anyway. And the Metallica shirt she already loved and emerge like a butterfly, like a moth out of a cocoon. She closed her eyes and felt her body. Knowing it was a girl's body felt wrong, like a hummingbird in a wasp's nest. But thinking of it as a boy's body didn't make sense either. Maddie just felt wrong. Deeply, soulfully wrong. Shadows danced at the edges of her vision, but she ignored them. I don't know that I'm not a girl. Kit pushed himself up and stalked over until he blocked the skaters she'd been watching. He glared or tried to glare. His face was still too feminine and soft to be intimidating. Don't you act like we haven't shared every secret with each other since we were 9. I know you feel the same way I do. Why can't you just admit it? I don't know. She buried her face in her hands. The dark was nice. The dark did not judge her. It was her friend always waiting and beckoning for her to embrace it. And you couldn't see shadows when everything was a shadow. Kit barreled on. It's your mom, isn't it? She doesn't understand you, Joker. Not like I do. You don't need to please her. You need to think about yourself. Maddie let her hands fall away and glared. Stop, Kit. Just stop. I don't know, okay? Kit opened his mouth, closed it, and narrowed his eyes. A lifetime passed before he spoke. Say you'll come with me tomorrow and I'll leave you alone. Maddie held her glare firmly on him. She did not want to go, but she really needed to go. Fine, but not all day. Kit smiled and pumped his fist. Score. Okay, a deal's a deal. No more bothering you. Today. What am I going to tell my mom? He snorted. That old Kit? He clapped a hand over his mouth and mumbled something. What? Kit smiled as he took his hand away. Sorry, I forgot. No ragging on Sergeant Mom. Maddie laughed in spite of herself. If she heard you, I'd get push-ups for the both of us. Drop and give me 20, Kit yelled, face scrunching into a scowl. This time, Maddie snort-laughed until she could barely sit up straight. Even Kit was gasping and clutching his sides. The rest of the world felt far away all the time, but Kit was like Rand's board, always there to hold her up. When they finally got control of themselves, Maddie sat up, and Kit plopped down beside her again, flinging an arm over her shoulders. But seriously, she said, what am I going to tell my mom about tomorrow? She will never let me go. Tell her you're going to the mall. She knows I hate the mall. Right. She's smart. Tell her you're looking at new skateboards. You can't get this one to do a kickflip. It's too big. Kit, you're a genius. Tell me about it. He got up and put both hands above his head like he was carrying something large and round above him. My big brain gets so heavy. Will you help me carry it? Not a chance. Maddie laughed. Fine then. How about following this big brain on a merry chase around the skate park? You're on. Maddie pushed excitedly off the bench as her pocket let out an electric guitar riff. She paused, pulling out her phone. Mom, where are you? I need you to come watch your sisters while I run to the store. Scrap. What's up, Joker? Kit moved in to peer at her screen. Sergeant Mom wants me to come home. Maddie, can it wait? At the skate park. Kit sighed. You know that never. Another text came in. Mom. No. Come home. See? Guess our fun is over for the day. Maddie stuck her tongue out at him. I'll let you know about tomorrow. Wait, you said you would come. Yeah, if I can sell my mom on a story. If I don't push too hard today, she might go easy on me tomorrow. She gave Kit a hug, then jumped on her board, racing toward the gate. Don't make me come kidnap you, he yelled. Maddie waved over her shoulder, then she was out the gate and rumbling down the sidewalk. Thankfully, the street outside the park was flat, for a San Francisco street anyway. It also helped that she lived nearly level with the park, just a few blocks over. She picked up speed as she neared the corner. She could have put her foot down to slow the board, but didn't. Instead, at the last second, Maddie grabbed the light pole, thankful for her gloves, and spun, shooting across the intersection in front of a honking Corolla. A quick shift of weight and stomp on the back of the board sent her up onto the sidewalk. It was one of the first tricks her brother had taught her. Every time she did it, she felt a little closer to him. It hurt a little every time, too. The familiar wet ache burned in the corners of her eyes. She rubbed them, pretending it was the wind, and focused on the sidewalk and avoiding rough spots in the cement. Rand died 8 years ago, so why was she still crying about it? Only girls cried. Only girls cried. The duplex looked as inviting as ever. If by inviting you meant it looked like cured vomit that someone had tried unsuccessfully to clean up and instead just smeared it around until all the liquids and chunks came together into whatever color that made. Rand had called it bloody snot, but there was too much orange and yellow in it for that. Dried puke made more sense. Maddie kicked the end of her board up and caught it by the axle. The underside of the board was filled with heroes. It was Rand's obsession. He'd been the one to get her into geek stuff. She loved the board, but if it was too big for her, she needed to get one that fit, or more advanced tricks would be out of her reach. The argument seemed feebler now that she wasn't in the thick of things at the skate park. After all, she'd made her mom take the board into the shop for a once-over the moment Maddie decided to start riding again. Was it really the board's fault? A door opened. She looked up, expecting to see her mom, but a strange man walked down the steps of the Jenkins side of the duplex instead. Her mom owned the duplex and liked to rent the other half out to older couples. The Jenkins had been the last ones to live there, until Mr. Jenkins died, and Mrs. Jenkins moved in with one of her kids. Her mom had left the rental side empty for nearly 6 months now. His skin was a dark tan, and his brown hair fell down around his ears. He reminded her of Ori Pfeffer from Hacksaw Ridge. She loved that movie for some strange reason. A stack of collapsed boxes filled his arms, but he smiled when he saw her. He set the boxes down beside the steps and held out a hand. "Hello there. You must be Maddie." "I'm John." She glanced at the proffered hand but didn't shake it. "How do you know my name?" His hand dropped, but the smile never faltered. "Easy. You are the spitting image of your mom. Besides, Caroline told me you were off to the skate park." The smile finally vanished as his eyes focused on her nose. "Looks like you took a spill. Are you okay?" This guy was way too friendly and way too young to be living in the duplex. What was her mom thinking? "I'm fine. It's just a scrape." "Maddie?" Caroline stood at the top of the steps looking down at her daughter, hands resting on her hips. A single hair tie barely held her blonde hair in its messy bun, and her purse was slung over one shoulder. "Did you just say you got hurt?" Maddie contained a sigh, barely. "It's just a scrape." "I'm fine. Who is this guy?" Caroline's face broke into a smile. "Oh, so you've met John." He answered our ad online for the apartment. She came the rest of the way down the steps to join them. John's smile was back, kind and insufferable. "I just needed a place to stay for a few weeks for a job, and your mom was kind enough to let me rent with a short-term lease. Not many people will do that." "It's no problem," Caroline said as she gripped the man's arm lightly. "I've had that ad up for months with no interest. You are doing us a favor by looking after the place for a bit." Maddie watched her mom's hand with narrowed eyes. Her mom never signed short-term leases, and she definitely never rented to people under the age of 60. Maddie could see the danger written in the air. She almost said something, but the thought of disappointing Kit kept her lips together. Maybe it was nothing. Her mom was just helping someone out. Someone that was a single man about her mother's age. "Yeah, right. Are you going to the store or what?" The two grown-ups looked at her, John confused, her mother startled. "Yes, Mads. Go in and watch your sisters. I won't be long." Caroline paused, looking at John again. "Do you need anything from the store?" I didn't even think about how empty that fridge must feel. No. I'm fine. I've got plenty of snacks in my bag until I can figure out what all I need." "Okay, if you're sure." "Maddie, can you make sure Emily practices piano?" "Sure, whatever." "Thanks, hun. I'll be back in a jiff. Burgers and fries okay with you, John?" John patted his stomach. "Can't go wrong with a good burger." Caroline smiled and hurried back up the steps toward her car. Maddie watched her go, guts twisting. This could not be happening. "You sure you're okay, Maddie?" John asked. She evaded the question. "Are you coming to dinner or something?" He smiled again, open and honest. "Your mother invited me." "Don't tell her I said anything, but I am tired of eating junk food out of my bag." Maddie felt her lips twitch into a frown. John noticed. "Is it all right if I come to dinner?" "I promise not to tell any old people jokes." "Whatever, I need to go watch my sisters." She moved past him up the steps. "See you at dinner." Inside the house, Maddie sagged against the door, closed her eyes and took a deep breath, body thrumming with the angry pulse in her veins. Everything was okay. Her mother was not trying to date a random stranger that answered an ad. She would make it to meet Kit tomorrow. Everything would not blow up in her face. Breathe in. She was fine. Breathe out. Mads. She opened her eyes. Emily stood in the hallway, short brown hair tied in pigtails, blue eyes watching her, worried. She looked so much like Dad, and thinking about her dad only made Maddie more angry. "Hey, Spud." Maddie forced a smile and held out an arm for a hug. Emily ran into the embrace, head thumping against Maddie's chest. "Whoa, I've only been gone a few hours." "I know, but I was worried." Maddie stroked her hair. Why? Emily hesitated. I heard you last night, in your sleep. Emily's voice was soft, nearly a whisper, but it struck Maddie like a skateboard to the back of the head. Her heart pounded against her ribs so loud she could almost feel it rocking her body. Emily squeezed tighter. I didn't mean to. I was going to the bathroom and your door was open and... Maddie cut her off. Suddenly, she didn't want to hear what Emily was about to say. Couldn't face the words about to come out of her little sister's mouth. It's okay, Spud. I'm okay. Emily pulled back and looked into her face. But, Mads... I said I'm okay, Spud. Where is Quinn? She's watching her shows. Mads, that's fine. Maddie turned Emily around and pushed her along the hall. Mom wants you to practice your piano. Emily tried to stop, but Maddie kept pushing her along the hardwood floor. Shoes versus socks. Shoes won. Since when do you listen to Mom? Low blow. I listen. Emily stopped struggling as they entered the living room. You listen. And then you do the opposite of what she wants. Bluey blared from the TV as Quinn giggled on the couch. Maddie snatched the remote and hit the power button. The cartoon disappeared, and Quinn jumped up with a yell, red curls bouncing. My show, Quinn whined. Time to be done with shows, little Q. Maddie, one more episode? Pinky promise. She held out her hand, Pinky extended like she was at a British tea party. Maddie laughed. No way, kid. Emily needs to practice piano. Mom's orders. Quinn put on a pout. What am I gonna do? Go play with your toys. I think I hear Polar Bear Jerry whining about being bored, too. Oh, no. Jerry. Quinn bolted off the couch and out of the room. Maddie flopped down on the couch with a sigh. Piano time, Spud. I hate the piano, Emily murmured under her breath. Yeah, but unlike me, you always listen to Mom, so get cracking with the practicing. Maddie's phone buzzed and she pulled it out. Kit, play nice with your mom so you can come TMW. Maddie, believe me I am. Hesitant notes finally drifted from the piano but stopped after only a few chords. Maddie? I don't hear practicing. She closed the text and pulled up TikTok. Skating videos filled her feed. It's just, I love you, Mads. Maddie's heart skipped and her throat clenched until she could barely breathe. The room was silent and Emily was waiting for her to say something, and what her sister had heard was still hanging between them like fog and she couldn't force the words out. Then the music started again, and Maddie kept staring at her phone, not seeing, just wishing her life wasn't such a freaking dumpster fire.